The armed forces of Ukraine are preparing a series of long-range strikes against priority targets inside the Russian Federation, President Volodymyr Zelensky said in a post on his official Telegram channel. In a brief statement, Zelensky said he and the heads of the Security Service of Ukraine and the Foreign Intelligence Service had identified priority targets for our long-range strikes in the near term, and vowed that the plans would soon be carried out. "We will definitely implement everything," he said. The announcement is the most recent public confirmation from Kyiv of plans to expand the use of long-reach munitions as part of a broader campaign to hit Russian military and logistical infrastructure beyond Ukraine's borders. Ukraine has already shown a growing capability to conduct long-range attacks. Earlier on Friday, Ukraine's intelligence services say they destroyed a launch system for the 3 Oreshnik ballistic missiles ready for launch from the Kapustin Yar range in Russia's Astrakhan region. According to SBU head Vasyl Malyuk, the operation took place on their territory at Kapustin Yar, carried out by the combined forces of Ukraine's military intelligence, HUR, the SBU and SZRU. It was a very successful mission. The destruction was 100%, Malyuk said. This is something we have never made public before. It happened before the name Oreshnik was widely used. Ukraine's intelligence estimates that Russia has fired 1 Oreshnik missile and destroyed a second, with at least 1 still in its arsenal. The head of the SZRU, Ole Ivashchenko, noted, "There is 1 launch system. We believe that this year up to 3 were produced, and up to 6 are planned annually." Zelensky warned that Russia may deploy the Oreshnik to Belarus, putting parts of Europe within its reach. "We understand that their approximate range is 5,500 kilometers, and there is a dead zone of 700 kilometers. This means that Europeans, especially those in Eastern Europe, should pay attention to this, and everyone else too. We must pay attention to these risks," he said. And this is breaking news. The Pentagon has given the White House the green light to provide Ukraine with long-range Tomahawk missiles after assessing that it would not negatively impact U.S. stockpiles, leaving the final political decision in President Donald Trump's hands, according to 3 U.S. and European officials familiar with the matter. Trump said earlier this month during a working lunch with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky at the White House that he would rather not provide the missiles to Ukraine because we don't want to be giving away things that we need to protect our country. The Joint Staff informed the White House of its assessment earlier this month, just before Trump met with Zelensky, who has been pushing for the missiles to more effectively target oil and energy facilities deep inside Russia. Tomahawks have a range of around 1,000 miles. The assessment buoyed the U.S.'s European allies, who believe that the U.S. now has fewer excuses not to provide the missiles, 2 European officials said. Trump also said just days before meeting Zelensky that the U.S. has a lot of Tomahawks that it could potentially give to Ukraine. U.S. and European officials were surprised, therefore, when Trump dramatically changed his tune days later, saying during opening remarks at a White House working lunch with Zelensky that the U.S. needs the Tomahawks. He then told Zelensky behind closed doors that the U.S. would not be providing them, at least not yet. Trump's decision came one day after he spoke by phone to Russian President Vladimir Putin, who told Trump that Tomahawks could hit major Russian cities like Moscow and St. Petersburg, would have no significant impact on the battlefield, but would damage the U.S.-Russia relationship. Trump has not taken the missiles off the table altogether, sources previously told CNN, and the administration has drawn up plans to provide them to Ukraine quickly should Trump give the order. Trump has also grown so frustrated in recent weeks with Putin's unwillingness to seriously consider peace talks that he approved new U.S. sanctions on Russian oil firms last week and scrapped, for now, a planned meeting with Putin in Budapest to discuss Ukraine. While the Pentagon doesn't have concerns about stockpiles, U.S. defense officials are still grappling with how Ukraine would train on and deploy the missiles, officials said. There are still several operational issues that would need to be resolved for Ukraine to be able to use the missiles effectively, the sources added. Meanwhile, Ukrainian Air Force is working non-stop. Ukrainian Su-27 pilots supported ground troops with a GBU-62 strike on a Russian troop concentration in the city of Kupiansk. The situation in Kupiansk remains tense as Ukrainian forces continue to pressure Russian positions in the region. After months of fierce fighting, Russia's attempts to hold key supply routes have been repeatedly disrupted by targeted Ukrainian strikes and counterattacks. Local reports indicate that while the city itself remains under Russian control, Ukrainian forces are steadily advancing in surrounding areas, cutting off logistical lines and isolating enemy units. The front around Kupiansk has become a testing ground for Ukraine's combined arms tactics, blending artillery, drones, and rapid infantry maneuvers to gradually weaken Russian defenses. Fighters from the Tivaz division destroyed a D-20 artillery position, hitting it on the move with a Hyacinth B gun, taking out both the weapon and its crew. Despite Russia's image as a modern military power, reports suggest that some units are still relying on ancient D-21 52mm howitzers, a design dating back to the 1950s. These old guns remain in service primarily due to shortages of more modern artillery systems and the enormous logistical strain of maintaining newer equipment across a vast front. While the D-20 is reliable and can deliver destructive fire over long distances, its slow rate of fire, limited mobility, and vulnerability to counter-battery strikes make it increasingly outdated in today's high-tech battlefield. Russia's continued use of these relics highlights both the strain on its military-industrial complex and the challenges of sustaining a massive war effort while facing modern, agile Ukrainian forces equipped with precision artillery and drones. Trump: Orban asked for an exemption from sanctions on Russia, but I didn't grant it. Victor's lobby failed.
President, your response to Viktor Orban saying you asked for an exemption from U.S. sanctions on Russian oil?
He has asked for an exemption. We haven't granted one, but he has asked. Victor, he's a friend of mine. He's asked for an exemption.
Ukraine has handed over a Russian serviceman suspected of committing war crimes, including torture, to Lithuania. This was stated by Lithuanian Prosecutor General Nida Grunskina on Friday, Delphi reports. A Russian citizen who participated in the full-scale war against Ukraine was brought to Lithuania this week. He is suspected of committing a war crime against a Lithuanian citizen on Ukrainian territory. On Thursday, the Vilnius District Court granted the request of the Prosecutor General's office and allowed the Russian to be imprisoned for 3 months. He is suspected of committing a war crime against a Lithuanian citizen on Ukrainian territory. On Thursday, the Vilnius District Court granted the request of the Prosecutor General's office and allowed the Russian to be imprisoned for 3 months. According to the investigation, from March to September 2022, Russian Army personnel, including personnel of the 177th Separate Naval Infantry Regiment of the Caspian Flotilla Marines, participated in the organization of a filtration camp at a training base located on the territory of the Melitopol military airfield in Zaporizhia region. Civilians and prisoners of war were illegally detained, tortured, and humiliated there. Among them was a citizen of the Republic of Lithuania, Grunskane said. Already in August 2023, the Ukrainian Defense Forces detained a senior sailor of the regiment. Lithuania suspects that he, along with other Russian military personnel, not only guarded illegally detained civilians and prisoners of war in the camp, but also participated in their beatings, torture, imprisonment in a metal safe, suffocation to the point of unconsciousness, hanging with hands tied, keeping them in cold air, dousing them with cold water and causing electric shocks. The decision to extradite the above-mentioned suspect to Lithuania was made by the Prosecutor General of Ukraine, Ruslan Kravchenko.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you want to support Warthog Defense, please become our member and get early access to new videos, exclusive members-only videos, and become administrator in comment section. The membership link is in the description.
Every day. We had a guy last week, it's 6 rescues in 6 days. You know, he's doing the job every day.